morning, dear people of the internet, and welcome to your weekly moments of weird internet shenanigans. This week we are diving into wellness TikTok because I've seen the word wellness come up in my research for my other videos like the unchic thing, the clean girl thing, and a bunch of other things. So I was like, what is going on over there? Because wellness doesn't really seem to fit in there, so we need to see what's going on there. I thought that wellness was about luxury spas and resorts and other things I cannot afford because I'm an artist. My shop with cute little things is in the description if you want to check that out. Not that I want to go to a spa, but anyways, apparently it's not about that. To see what exactly is going on wellness TikTok, we will look at some of these TikToks and see if they contribute to people's wellness. And to figure that out, we first need to know what wellness is. The Cambridge Dictionary defines the word wellness as following: the state of being healthy, especially when it's something that you actively try to achieve. That makes sense because being ill is the opposite of being well. This has less to do with wellness resorts than I thought it would, even though resting is also important for your health, I guess, so maybe it does. Anyhow, the first TikTok we will watch is about hunger, so that has nothing to do with wellness resorts. Before we watch that, a small disclaimer: if you get triggered by topics like hunger and eating and all that kind of stuff, you know what I mean. This video might not be for you because we are going to talk a lot about that, not to spoil a lot. So if that's the case, you're very welcome to come back next week and to click off this video. I would recommend that actually. If this video is not for you, you can watch some of my other videos or just come back next week. You would be very welcome. And otherwise, let's get started.
You're not hungry. You are not hungry. If you had a breakfast today, if you had a coffee after that, if you had lunch and now it's 2 p.m. and you're hungry and you crave a coffee and a little sweet treat, you're not hungry. Your blood sugar has dropped, causing your cortisol to spike up. That's your stress hormone. Remember, it's causing that to spike up to levels that your blood sugar. That's then going to cause you to crave a dopamine hit in the form of sugar or caffeine or food, like lots of carbohydrate-y food. So remember that your hormones play a big role in what we perceive as hunger. But if you have had enough food today, it is very important that you understand the signals your body is giving you. And if you have not had food today and you're hungry, then you should eat. That should be very clear, very basic. When we're hungry and we haven't eaten in all day, eat some food. That's why you're tired. That's why you can't focus. But if you've had stabilizing meals, especially if you've had protein at those meals, and especially if you had some food before you had coffee and you're still crashing and you still need a sweet treat, then that's your blood sugar and we should work on regulating that. Or that's your cortisol and you're super stressed out and you're looking to self-soothe. Your nervous system is asking for regulation through the only way to cope, which is food, because you've used that your whole life.
This reminds me of when doctors say it's anxiety when it obviously isn't. But then next level, she said, like, you're not hungry, you just have problems that make you overeat. Now, as far as I know, as an artist, I'm not a doctor, but I can use Google. She is technically right. The problem is, though, that she might be technically right about a very small amount of people and not about all the people, which makes it a problem because this video has 4 million views and that's a lot of people, and I can be very sure that most of the people that watch this video do not have this problem. For one, being hungry does not feel the same for everyone. Sure, for some people it feels a lot closer to being thirsty than for other people, but it's not the same for everyone, so saying this like it is a problem. A better message would be promoting trying to understand your body's cues, like hunger, because it can be hard to learn those, and it's also very useful to learn those, but not like this. Now, as this creator says, changing your patterns might be helpful if this is the case for you, which again, it isn't for most people, but changing your patterns might be helpful for these very select few people. Changing your patterns, however, takes a very long time, and not eating one time when you do feel hungry is not gonna help. It might actually do the opposite of helping for you. Saying all of these things, like you're not hungry, you should eat more protein and electrolytes with your breakfast and all that kind of stuff, is promoting a very unhealthy relationship with food. Plot twist, most likely, if you feel hungry, you are hungry. Who would have thought? And if you do really struggle with this, like your body's cues and eating and whatever, go see a doctor. I feel like that's the only good advice to give here. Don't go trust some random TikTok creator or me for what it's worth. I'm not gonna give you advice, except for go to the doctor if you feel like that, because they know know what they are talking about in most cases. This random TikToker does not. The real question here is, does this video promote wellness? And like you might already assume, I think it does not promote wellness. I think a healthy relationship is part of wellness, like healthy, it's literally there, you know? And promoting an unhealthy relationship with food, like saying, go drink some water or go on a walk when you feel hungry and don't do anything about the actual cue your body is giving you, is not healthy. Therefore, it's the opposite of wellness. Let's see if the next video is a little better.
Skinny is the outfit. Being skinny sends a message. You respect yourself. You prioritize yourself. You don't put yourself last. It's not just hot, it's high value, because skinny cannot be bought. You can't swipe your card. There's no add to cart for self-discipline. You look expensive because you are expensive. You've got standards and they show. Anyone can go and buy a designer bag, but not everyone can walk into a room looking like the bag. You're gonna look like a Target bag or a Birkin. Remember that next time you're choosing between the cravings and the version of you that turns heads and sends a message without even saying a word.
That was incredibly confusing. If I had to paraphrase this, it would be, skinny cannot be bought, yet it looks expensive. This TikTok shows how far we have come as a society since the Middle Ages, because back then in a lot of cultures it was actually a sign of status if you were not skinny, because then it meant that you had access to the good food and then you could show that to people by not being very skinny. Now it's a lot more nuanced than that, and like gender roles and whatever, but in the very basics it was that at some point in history. I'm not sure if it was the Middle Ages, but at some point in history in a lot of cultures it was like that. Now I'm not saying that we should go back to that, but seeing being skinny as a sign of status is also bad. The bag analogy is also bad because you can buy a bag with money, and according to this creator you cannot buy skinny with money, which is also not entirely true, because now we have stuff like plastic surgery and Ozempic, which can be very expensive, and probably a lot of other things too that can be very expensive. And I'm not saying you should do those things, because in a lot of cases it is not healthy. Depends on what it is. Again, very nuanced topic, not going into that, but you can buy skinny technically in a way. Not entirely probably, but money will get you a long way. And if we take the sentence skinny is the outfit, which by the way is an incredibly judgmental thing to say, but if we take that literally, everyone would have to walk around without clothes, which would cause its own problems, like coldness. I don't know what else you are thinking about. Now that's not entirely relevant, but I wanted to point out the weird phrasing here to show you how little sense this video makes. This video, in my opinion, obviously does not promote any wellness, because it doesn't have any healthy idea in it, even though it popped up when I looked for the word wellness in the TikTok search bar. I want to show you one more video today which seems to take a broader approach to the idea of wellness than the other videos we have seen today.
Let's talk about realistic health and wellness habits that you can take into 2025. Number one is literally walking over 10,000 steps every single day. I was able to lose 20 pounds just from doing this alone, as you can see in the picture right here. Ever since I started incorporating walking into my day-to-day routine, not only does my body look a lot leaner, but I don't bloat as much as I used to. My tummy is on flat, my muscles are more defined, my mental health has never been this better.
Never mind, this video is about being skinny too. Now, granted, walking is very healthy for the vast majority of people, but we do need to keep in mind that being healthy is not about being skinny, even though it came on the list of this creator before mental health, which should show you that, according to this creator, being skinny at least comes to mind earlier than mental health, which, in my opinion, is a lot more important. Also, last week, like way after this video came out that I just showed you, so just a fun fact, last week a study came out that said that walking 7,000 steps is already very good for your health, and the difference between walking 7,000 steps a day and 10,000 steps a day for your health benefits doesn't have a lot of difference. So walking 7,000 steps a day is about the same level of good as 10,000 steps a day. The only difference is, or there are more differences, but like the only main difference is how many calories you burn, which is very nice for these creators. Again, this video came out way before that study came out, so keep that in mind. But I promise you that the kind of creator that this is and the other creators we've seen today will keep themselves to 10,000 steps instead of 7,000. But that's a nice fun fact for you.
Number two is drinking apple cider vinegar every single morning on an empty stomach or after your breakfast. Apple cider vinegar contains a lot of anti-inflammatory properties that actually can help reduce inflammation in your body. If you are somebody that has those constant sugar or salt cravings, you're trying to look for a natural and holistic way to balance out those insulin levels, reduce your cortisol levels, apple cider vinegar is really that girl. For the last couple of months, I have incorporated incorporated this into my morning and my nighttime routine. So in the morning, I'll take about 1 to 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar and I'll dilute it in a glass of warm water and drink that first thing in the morning. And then about an hour or two before I go to bed, I will incorporate 1 to 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar into the type of tea that I have every single night, whether that is peppermint, spearmint, or decaf green tea.
The thing with inflammation in your body is that if you have inflammation in your body, you would definitely know and you would definitely need to see a doctor. It would be a real problem. This part of the video shows that this creator is just throwing around buzzwords because apple cider vinegar is good for inflammation, or against inflammation, I guess. It's also good for your cortisol levels, which is a stress hormone that could potentially cause hunger cues in some people. According to my internet research, that doesn't have anything to do with inflammation. I promise you that this creator doesn't know more about this than I do. I tried to find a degree on there, was not there.
Number 3 is taking my supplements. One of my favorite supplements to take every single day is pantothenic acid. Pantothenic acid is a wonderful supplement for acne, hormonal acne, or for keeping your skin nice and clear. Number 4 is using a magnesium spray. I cannot emphasize the importance of using a magnesium spray every single day. I used to be that type of girl that would take magnesium orally, but at one point I actually started to feel nauseous, so I stopped taking it and switched to the spray. Magnesium spray has so many incredible benefits. It can actually help with sleep, help reduce your cortisol level, help with muscle recovery, overall just boost your health and wellness. I spray this every single morning and every single night. So during the day, I'll spray it under my arms and in my belly button, and then at night I will do the same thing except for add this on the bottom of my feet too. As always, these are natural and holistic solutions that you can incorporate into your health and wellness routine in 2025 without spending too much money on products that don't actually work.
As you probably guessed, this creator has a storefront on the Bezos site. Do with that information as you will. The only thing I can say about that is not buying these things when you don't need them. Probably you don't need them, otherwise you can get your doctor to tell you that you need them by doing a blood panel or whatever. It's a lot cheaper than buying them, or that not buying them is a lot cheaper than buying them, and it's more expensive to buy them. So if you want to save money on getting genuinely healthy, don't buy these things unless your doctor said you should and these work for you. This TikTok was a little more generic about health than the other TikToks we saw, but again, being skinny was a big topic in there, and again, being skinny does not equal being healthy. So I would say that this video doesn't really promote wellness either. Now, the interesting thing about all of this is that TikTok has banned the hashtag skinny talk, which we talked about a few months ago, because it wasn't allowed in the European Union anymore. The last TikTok we saw came out in January, so that was before that because the ban happened in the beginning of June. But the first 2 TikToks came out when the skinny talk thing was already crumbling. Before this all happened, the ideology of skinny talk was already seeping into the wellness thing, as we saw in the last video, but now it just seems like the entire skinny talk problem has just moved to the wellness side of TikTok, and maybe other sides too, I don't really know. I think it's a good idea that the skinny talk hashtag has been banned, but it just moves the problem somewhere else, and skinny talk was at least a clear word of knowing what you're going to find there. Now that has very bad repercussions because people that don't have a healthy relationship with food and their body could find it easily, and now it's harder to find supposedly, so that's a good thing, but now it's seeping through the other sides of TikTok, and the comments of the videos I showed you today were not happy with that, let's be clear about that, so that's at least a good thing. But let me know what you think about this. Is it a good thing that TikTok banned? I think that it has multiple sides to it. I think it's good in the end, but it would be just a lot better if people stopped making this kind of content because nobody needs it and it's very unhelpful. If you like my little video, thank you for watching. Please press those wonderful shiny like and subscribe buttons, and then I will see you next time. Ciao!